Hey, welcome to the Sharpe Way show. I am so happy that you have joined me today. It's Monday. What does that mean? Ask me anything. Yes, the Monday Ask Me Anything is here. While I love this Mondays, which are almost always longer than the rest of the shows, and I get more interaction with everyone, I always try to start off with something that I think is interesting. And this one is what I noticed in the Sunday shows or during the Sunday shows this week. This weekend, I watch all the Sunday shows, right? Well, not all of them. I watch the coolest ones, which usually there are three that I watch generally. I tend to watch Fareed Zakaria. I tend to watch Michael Smerconish, and I tend to watch Mark Wallace, which tends to give me, kind of a left, right, and middle is a general rule as I watch the Sunday shows. And it was something that I think all three had together, and maybe even a bit of, other news I was watching. And that is the idea that maybe we've gone too far. And it doesn't matter if you're left or right. Some people are going, maybe we've gone too far. This idea that we pushed the boundaries of change so much that now we want to come back. The pendulum went too far, and now we want to bring it back. Fareed Zakaria spent his first opening, if you happen to see his show, he spent the opening basically comparing Republicans who are populist to Nazis in Germany, which, again, the left often compares Republicans to Nazis. That's a common comparison. But this time he was like not just being hyperbolic, trying to go, oh my God, the world ends if Republicans win and we become Nazis. That wasn't the thing. He was trying to say that, if we keep this going, we're going to lose control of normalcy. He wants Republicans to go back to, Mitt Romney and Ronald Reagan, and that's what he wants. He likes that establishment piece. And that's what he was talking about. He talked about that when it came to Bernie also. So while Fareed absolutely does lean left, what he leans more than anything is establishment. That is the biggest deal. He leans establishment. Right now, establishment is obviously more left, and the Republican Trump side is obviously not establishment. So he leaned heavily towards establishment. He had a guest on. I think it was him. He had a guest. Maybe it was him. I forgot. Someone had a guest on, a woman named Annie Laurie, who was talking about giving people money in debt, and she was basically saying, debt doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Let Uncle Joe write everybody big checks. We'll be fine. Who cares about debt? And she gave some story about how, it's not, the debt, it's how we look at debt now. Debt is different. Debt isn't what it used to be, that kind of thing. And her concept, which is based on something real, it's not pulled out of the air. The concept, for those who don't know, is based on the idea that since the interest rates are so low, that servicing the debt is a whole lot cheaper, and therefore the debt ceiling should be a lot higher because servicing the debt is cheaper. Now, conceptually, that does make sense conceptually. But $27 trillion? No. I mean, if you're telling me in a high interest rate, I could afford, a car note at $300, but if my interest rate's lower, then that same now $350 gets me a whole lot more car. I guess I can go $350, right? I mean, that logic in buying a car or something, that might make sense. Not for $27 trillion. So even that's like more normalcy. But not just that. They were talking about Bitcoin also, and how Bitcoin is exploding and people want to buy Bitcoin. And it was a guy literally on one of the shows still saying, Bitcoin's terrible, Bitcoin's bad, we're all going to die, it's never going to work. And I thought, are we that afraid of something new when it's obviously been here for a long time and probably not just going to go away, even if Bitcoin crashes? And I don't know the details, so it might be crashing. I don't know if it's going to crash or not. But even if it does that mean it goes away? I mean, it's gone up and down how many hundreds of times this has been around? But the common thing I felt was, if not Americans, at least the mainstream media, for sure, is saying, guys, let's go back to let's go back to what it used to be. Can we stop all this fighting? Can we just go back to what it used to be? I think the mainstream media wants it to happen now, but I'm not sure, because if I watch the evening shows, not the Sunday shows, the evening shows, it's still left versus right, yelling and screaming. I don't know if I'm right on this. It's what I saw and what I thought. And I guess I wonder, are the Sunday shows more accurate than the evening shows? Do they have a better or worse pulse on the American populace? I think the Sunday shows are better shows in general. They tend to have better information, even though obviously everyone's skewed, of course, but they have better information. The nighttime MSNBC, Fox, and CNN shows tend to be so much opinion with very little actual data. I don't know. Am I wrong? I'm happy to take a couple comments. That's where my head was this weekend. I hope it made sense to you guys. Let me grab a couple of these. Yes, sir. Simple answer. A quick parking brake engage backwards. I think we're afraid. Some people are, right? Let's go back. Let's hold on. I guess the hardest part that we struggle with the duopoly is the idea of scarcity mindset, right? There isn't an abundance mindset, right? There's no one, at least I don't hear anyone saying, I've got these great policies that's going to make America grow into everyone doing well, right? Everyone's going to grow and do well with these great policies. I rarely hear that. The closest thing was Trump's. That was the closest rhetoric. But even he was like, no, there's the good Americans and the bad Americans. So even he wasn't united in that regard. But that was the closest thing I get. And I get why people were like the MAGA hats. I guess it makes sense. But most of it is, I'll protect you from the other. Or I'll change what the other guy did. And that's what Trump did when he came in. He kind of tried to reverse Obama stuff. And now here comes Biden reversing Trump stuff. So I guess we kind of have to go back. There's no abundance. It's all scarcity. Just don't lose what I have now. I'll save you from the bad that's going to take your stuff. And culture war. Right on the money, Pete. Yet again, I love your national debt. $27 trillion. Absolutely. Yes. It almost seems like fake outrage, Ed says. The media seems to pump that hard anymore. Spin up the masses as much as possible. But the outrage, there's a difference, right? The outrage on the weekday shows, evening shows, is almost always culture war. That's not 100% rule, but it's a good 70% culture war. The weekend shows tend to not be culture war. What makes people angry is culture war. That's the part of the scarcity. You're taking my way of life. You're attacking me because I'm different, whatever. It's heavily culture war based, which not that culture war isn't important. Of course, culture war is important. It's just not priority. Shouldn't be priority. Let me change. I was incorrect. Clearly, it is a priority. It shouldn't be a priority. It should be up on the list. It does matter. But doesn't our individual ability to make a living and be happy, shouldn't that be more of a priority? I feel like it is. So, all right. CJ Watson, I'll ask you something. Do you want a free haircut? Because I love you come by and stop by my shop. Thank you, CJ. I don't know where your shop is. I'll see if I can get a free haircut. I love it. Thank you. So yes. Jimmy says, do you think we will ever start paying off the debt? We have to balance the budget first. No, Jimmy, I don't think our debt's ever getting paid off. I don't believe that. I mean, at one point, how do you pay off $27 trillion? How do you pay that off? You don't. I mean, it's never getting paid off. I remember there was a comedian, I forgot which comedian it was. He'll be angry at me if I've forgotten, but one of the comedians said something like, he was talking to his friend, and his friend says, man, we're in trouble. We owe China like $1 trillion or whatever the number was. And the comedian says, we're not in trouble. China's in trouble. We're never paying that back. And it was a joke, but it was real. I mean, we're never paying that back. How can we, Jimmy? How can we? At one point, if your house is worth $200,000 and you owe $600,000 on it, you're never paying that back. You're just going to live in the house till they take it or until you declare bankruptcy. You're never paying that mortgage. Just stop paying. You're never going to pay it off. I mean, maybe you could put something on it, on a plan to keep you in for a little bit longer, but you're never paying that back. I mean, it's impossible. At one point, we in some way default, which I don't think it'll be official, but we just reboot the dollar at one point. We just go, oh, remember when the dollar used to be worth so-and-so? Yeah, it's not anymore. It's worth this because we've deemed it so. And I guess, world, you have to accept that because otherwise we default. So that's what it's worth. Just done. We've deemed it so. Or we'll build the Americoin and make some kind of cryptocurrency or something. We're never paying this off. So I hope that answers your question. So our credit and banking is basically made up. So we might as well make up the way to pay off debt. Thank you. Yes. Lyndon explained it perfectly. We'll just find a way. It's paid off because done. That's how it works. This is one of the reasons, by the way, and this is kind of like a side thing that people don't understand. This is one of the reasons why we won't break down our military-industrial complex. It's one of the reasons. There are many reasons. This isn't the reason. It is one of the reasons why we won't do that. The military-industrial complex creates what they call the nuclear shield, right? Our nuclear shield. So other countries don't have to create nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons are super expensive. Nuclear weapons are super dangerous and have no use. They're just expensive things that we own, right? I mean, for us, they have use because they're deterrent. But let's say Germany wants to build nuclear weapons. What a colossal waste of time, money, and energy. Why would they do that when they have ours, right? They're good. Why would Japan? If you tell me that Japan and Germany couldn't build nuclear weapons, of course they could. They don't want to. Why should they? It's a colossal waste of time, money, and energy when they have ours. So as long as we have that nuclear shield, we're good. Do you think Germany and Japan and China couldn't build massive navies? Well, not China, but they could, but we don't care about that one. You think Germany and Japan couldn't build massive navies if they wanted to? They have the ability to do so if they want to. Britain could if it wanted to again and control the seas. But why would they? They have our Navy. Navies are expensive and colossal waste of money if you don't use them. So why would they want to? So they use ours. Well, as long as you're using all of our military to defend them and to support their trading routes, we have a little bit of leverage over them for what currency they take and respect and agree to take. Yes. So that's one of the reasons why we don't break it down. If we broke down a military-industrial complex, well, we'd have to accept that our dollar's not worth anything. Yeah. See, we don't want to do that, do we? I do. But you know what I'm talking about. Yes. Recently read again Washington's Farewell, says John. I feel we have let George Washington down. Oh, yeah, we have. We went against everything he suggested. Yes, we are going backwards from the beginning. Yeah, I think it's true. He was against these parties and getting into these, treaties and caring about Europe. He was against all those things. Yes, absolutely. He was against all of them. I agree. We have completely just dissed him. Absolutely. So, all right, see if I can keep going here. We can't go 100% Bitcoin because it will leave out a lot of people. I think you're right. I don't think we would go 100% Bitcoin. I don't think that'd even be possible because the government wouldn't accept Bitcoin as payment for taxes because the government has to have some form of control over currency. So even if lots of people used Bitcoin, you'd probably still have to pay your taxes in either dollars or the Americoin or whatever they use. So I think no matter what, the American government is going to have some type of its own either currency or coin. I think you're right. The issue is, can we have multiple currencies? And I think some people will want to go with it. Right now, Bitcoin is not a currency. I mean, some people might say this, but it isn't. Right now, it's an investment. It is very rare for people to purchase things with Bitcoin because it isn't stable enough. Doesn't mean that won't happen. It might stabilize this year or next year. Or again, I don't know enough about Bitcoin. I'm sure people could tell me all types of things. Eventually, Bitcoin might wind up stabilizing. And I'm assuming that does happen once it becomes, and when I mean stabilize, I don't mean it stays exactly the same, but right now it goes, up 400% and then down 50% and then up 200%. When it's going to stay kind of in the same area, whenever that is, that's a stabilization that I mean, then people might buy and use it as a currency. Until then, they won't. But if America creates its own coin, it'll probably link it to something. and just say, this Americoin is worth this, whatever the thing is, right? Gold or silver or nothing or whatever they say it's worth, one cow, whatever they decide, they'll probably link it to something is my assumption. So I think that's how it will actually work at one point. But I agree. I don't think we'll go 100% Bitcoin at all. I agree. Yes. So what month what month will we be in when the debt hits 30 trillion? Is this a riddle or an opinion? I'd love if it's a riddle. But my opinion, I think it's this summer. My gut would say September. That'd be my gut. I would say September. I'm gonna say September. Unless that was a riddle, then please give me a riddle. But I'm gonna go September. That's what I'm gonna say. So let's see if I can keep going here. Let's see. Same as when rich neighborhoods went all cash to escape taxes. Poor neighborhoods are also cash too. I'm not sure that's true. Poor neighborhoods are also heavy cash. In fact, that's one of the reasons why cops prey on the poor neighborhoods, because they're cash. Most rich neighborhoods now are not cash at all. It's very rare to find wealthy people carrying cash. They do, but relatively, they don't. Relatively. So, yeah. People fear what they do not know. Yes. Oh, my God, JP. Yes, 100%. We have the devil that we know. So let's go back to that. Let's go. That's the scarcity piece I'm talking about, right? People are scared. They don't want to advance. Don't lose what I have. Yes. George Washington was the first president to use the army to enforce an unfair tax on farmers in the Whiskey Rebellion. I'm not sure if he was so different anymore. I disagree, Adam, completely. Not that he did that. You're right. The Whiskey Rebellion, you're correct. But I do think he was different. And the reason why I say it, and many people get upset at me when I talk nicely about George Washington at all, for one of two reasons. Either they're hardcore libertarians and they go, he used the army like you did, Whiskey Rebellion. That's absolutely true. Or he's a slave owner. How can you like him? He's a slave owner. Also true. But I don't judge George Washington by today's standards. I judge him by his contemporaries. That's what I judge him, by his contemporaries. Compared to the people around him, he was amazing compared to them. Today's standards, he's terrible. Of course, he's a slave owner. Clearly, right? And of course, using the army of course. But if you look what was happening with every other leader in the world, most of them, the vast majority were monarchs, and they would send their army in for anything. I mean, for anything, they would send their army in to crush the peasants, to crush people, to destroy dissent, for anything. So relative to other world leaders, that's nothing. And the most important thing, he voluntarily stepped down from power. Were any of his contemporaries doing that? No. So what you're saying is true, but when it comes to being different, I would disagree with that part. Very different. Again, when I compare him to his contemporaries. Just my opinion. Thank you for putting something up. I appreciate that. Yes. We want things better than they used to be. How it used to be wasn't good, face it. Yeah, Peter, I think we have a tendency to, I don't know, fantasize about how cool the past was, right? Nostalgic. Back in the day when things were good, right? When music was good, not like now, or whatever we say. I think we do that. I think we fantasize about some long forgotten time, right? I think that's true. And I hope that we just want to get better and just get better than we are now. I don't care if we adopt some things from the past that work, okay. And if we discard things from the past that don't work, okay. I just want us to get better. Whatever that is. So, all right. The only void I see, Mr. Cuomo, is the one between your ears. Cute. Very cute, Matt. Yes. Very cute. So, all right. Do you know the United States is a corporation? Do you know your vote means as much as voting for the president of McDonald's Corporation? I'm not sure where you're going with that, Mike. I don't know where you're going with that. If you're saying that voting for the president of McDonald's Corporation, I can't voting for if we were to vote for the president of McDonald's, that'd be great, but that would only affect, I don't know, what hamburgers are served at McDonald's or something. McDonald's isn't going to tax me or use the military, as Adam brought up, to suppress a rebellion. We're in that stuff. The president of McDonald's is just going to decide what happens in McDonald's. That's it. And you can leave McDonald's or not go there, or choose to not eat at McDonald's, or whatever, go through the drive-through or go inside, or whatever is your thing. I'm not sure I'm getting. If you don't mind, Mike, if you could put some more details in there. I'm not sure where you're going with that. Thanks. So, all right. Happy belated birthday. Shout out to Larry Sharpe's top fan, P-Clock. P-Clock, happy birthday, brother. See, now you're 21 and you can stop, lying to go drink. You can actually drink legally now at 21. No more cheating with that fake ID, man. Happy birthday. Absolutely. So no more Orange Man bad. What do they do now? Maybe their job. No, they'll find other man bad, but they're still on Orange Man bad. They still are, right? Then impeach Trump again. Now there's going to be charges or whatever. I don't think Orange Man bad is done. But I think what you find now is now they're attacking the people around him. Ted Cruz is being just hammered. Don't get me wrong. Dumb move. He should have known better. What he did, actually, the impact that it had wasn't a big deal, to be fair with you. But the optics, come on, man. You are a public figure. You know they're out to get you. You supported Trump. That was a dumb move, is all I'm saying. But to be fair to him, did it affect Texas, him not being there? No, it didn't. The optics were terrible, and he should have known better. The idea that he would be that tone deaf and leave is just, and people are out to get you. Like, it. There's paparazzi waiting for you to, scratch your butt so they can say you're a bad guy. Yeah, I think it's not Orange Man bad. Now it's Texas man bad or whatever. There's always someone to be bad. Always. So people don't want freedom. They want security. Melissa, I cannot tell you how sad and right you are with that. People often care more about that. I say it often. For those of you in the liberty movement, libertarians who are watching, listening, we tell ourselves a lie often. And the lie is everybody wants freedom. That's not true. It isn't true. People want their problems solved and dealt with. That's what they want. They would happily take a benevolent dictator over a free person. A less competent person who will give them their freedom. Happily. You're totally right, Melissa. It's why I spend all my time talking about libertarian policies that would help solve their problems. And by opening up the communities to support people locally, that will give them that sense of security that they want. And the reality of it is, there's really no such thing as actual security. There's a level of security and a sense of security. Those exist. And if your community is behind you, you feel a sense of security. And I think an example of that is probably the Amish, right? The Amish feel very secure because they support each other, right? Some don't and they leave, but most do. So yes, I agree completely. So Coca Cola and other companies are teaching their white employees how to be less white, which of course is angering POC, meaning people of color. The extremists are destroying the society that took years to develop. This generation isn't bigoted, but the extremists want to drive that wedge again. This part drives me crazy, Shelley. This drives me crazy. Now, to be forward with you on this Coca Cola piece, this is true. Some of you don't know. This stuff is leaked. It's true. This actually is happening. I don't know who to point the finger at here. And to be forward, who do I point the finger at here? Do I point the finger at some stupid consultant who wants to sell a book and wants to make more money and go in and do diversity training? Yeah, because they're doing this stupidity. At the same time, how do I blame the leadership of the company? The leadership of Coca-Cola isn't going, oh my God, we hate white people. They're not doing that. Coca-Cola is saying, I don't want to get canceled. I don't want to get sued. I don't want to have some guy do something stupid. Nobody buy Coke anymore. They don't want to, they don't want that. The leadership of Coke doesn't care either way about white people, black people. They don't care at all. They care, how do I make sure people keep buying my soda? That's what they want to do. And they're afraid that if all of a sudden someone goes, oh, you hate black people and you should have had diversity training, they go, no. Look, we had the white people bad training. See, look, we had it. You can't cancel us. That's what they care about. So do they even know? Did they even know this was wrong, bad, or not the right thing? I would bet most didn't. And here's why I'm going to say this. I do the same thing. I literally consult with companies and I train things like that. My diversity training, which I have too, which I don't do much of it anymore because people don't want the version that I have. My version isn't this. My version is actually what you hear me tell you. My version is emotional intelligence and taking everyone who is different as the other and not breaking it down between white and black and gay and straight. None of that gender. I don't break any of that down. I break everyone who's not you is the other. How do I connect, respect, and understand the other regardless of how you define other? If you do that, that creates the proper environment. It also creates a non-zero tolerance environment, creates a conversational environment, and you have a better environment. And you actually decrease the odds of people suing you. That's what I teach. But I'm in the minority. Most people who do what I do always go right to the, here's why white people, here's black people, here's this. They reinforce racism with their training. And the training that they got in Coke, without question, did not work, makes white people angry, makes people of color angry, and doesn't work. If you're actually a racist and you're in Coca Cola, you're now more racist. If you're not racist, you go, oh my God, I thought all this not racism that I was doing was good enough. It's not. I'm terrible. Why would you want to think that? Why would you want to think that? You should think, I haven't been racist. Good on me. And I hope if you're not racist, you do think that. Good for you, right? That's great. But no, it's nothing but hurtful, Shelley. You're right. The problem is most people don't know how to handle this, and they're scared. This is the one strike and you're out rule. I've mentioned this 1,000 times and I'll keep mentioning it. Zero tolerance culture is destroying us. It is ripping this country apart. Zero tolerance culture always makes things worse, without exception. And you'll hear me often say, it's a general rule most of the time, but not always. There are exceptions. This is zero exception. Every single time, no matter what, zero tolerance will make things worse. And what's going to wind up happening now is you see with Texas. Again, we had a horrible thing in Texas, which we did. And they're not going, how do we make things better? How do we fix our system? No. How do we make sure this never happens again? How can you make sure it never happens again? Impossible. Zero tolerance. When that happens, when it's zero tolerance, they're going to make 80 bazillion rules in an attempt to make sure they can cover every single aspect. It'll make everything worse in Texas. And here's something to remember. Zero tolerance means perfection. When you demand perfection, you will get deception. That's how that works. And again, that's 100% rule because people aren't perfect. That's how it works. But you won't ever want to make a mistake because zero tolerance. So when you make a mistake, you'll lie. What governor in New York State's figuring this out now? Yeah. Can't make a mistake. Because you make a mistake, you're gone. So you can never say sorry. You can never make a mistake because you're finished. Always. Zero tolerance culture is horrible. This is part of it. This is part of it. So they're so scared that they'll put this idiot stuff, don't be white in their training, right? Here's how to be less white in your training because they just want to make sure they don't get canceled. This is trashing us. It's so hurtful and so bad. It makes people not want to do anything. It makes them want to run away. It's not inclusive at all. And if the theory of diversity and diversity training is to be more inclusive, that's the theory. Be more inclusive. Okay. This is not the way to do that. It isn't. So anyway, all right. I thank you for that, Shelley. I love watching CNN and Fox during the week. They each tell me what the other is talking about for some reason. Yes, because they're trying to say, see, they're the bad guy. Exactly right. Right now, Fox is saying this bad stuff. And then CNN goes, CNN won't say Fox. They'll say the other station or whatever they'll say, right? and Fox will go the mainstream media, which means CNN. So yeah, they'll use code words for each other. Absolutely. Yeah. We are used to seeing two dogs, then Republicans, bark at each other behind a chain fence, and we're enjoying it. God, I wish you guys were wrong. Okay, yes. Tucker says some good things, Casey. What do you think, Larry? I do. I've had Tucker on the show. I had him on the show. Wish I had him on the show. I've shown Tucker's clips on the show. I have. Tucker says things that are right sometimes, sure. Tucker is an ideologue, right? If you noticed, Tucker will jump on the side of any politician who he believes is pushing against the left. Tucker is totally afraid of the left. He thinks the left is destroying America, so he will jump on anyone who's on that side. He's an ideologue. The thing I'll give Tucker is he is consistent. In my view, he's almost like a Bernie Sanders, not meaning by policy, but with consistency. He's been this way since Crossfire, right? 20 years ago, he's been this way. I think he's the same. He thinks the left is wrong, it's bad, and he stands his ground that always, no matter what, he is always about left bad. So I think that but he's right sometimes. Sure. Absolutely. Let's see here. The debt is a farce. I'm not sure what that means. Are you saying that there is no debt? Are you saying they're lying on the numbers? Are you saying it doesn't matter? I'm not sure you're going with that one. If you could give me a bit more, I'd appreciate that. So, all right, let's see here. If we focus on restoring individual liberty, culture wars will be rendered moot. Well, yes, I think that's true and not. In other words, it'll be true in that it won't be fought in government. Would it still be fought individually? I think, yeah. I think there are still people who will believe that their way of life is right, and they'll still try to get others to do it, but they'll do it more like a religion does it, right? More by, preaching to you, trying to show you the right way, that type of thing, which is fine, right? I have every right to tell you that I think my way's the right way. And if you think your way's right, you can tell me that too. You could ignore me, I could ignore you. You're not going to send cops to my house. I'm not going to send cops to your house. I'm going to tell you here, I think my way's the right way. So I don't think culture wars would actually end, but I think they would end at the federal level with violence. I think it would instead be more groups of people. It would be more like, Baptists trying to get more converts than Catholics or something like that. Whatever that, is that true? Do Catholics proselytize? Whichever, right? Whatever that is, I think it'd be something like that more than just end. So, and I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that. Yes. This is a chance for libertarians to stand up and show that we're not them. Tony, I'm trying. But man, it's hard. People are just, they don't want to hear it. If you guys have noticed, I've been on a whole lot more shows. I've been doing press releases. I've been out there trying to do exactly what you're talking about, Tony. I agree with you. I'm pushing this, right? It's one of the reasons why you hear me try to bug you guys for cash, right? Putting out press releases costs money. Writers cost money. Staff costs money to book me on other shows. Yes, that's why I'm doing it, right? You're totally correct. I'm trying to. And if you care, head over to patreon.com/Sharpe Way and throw me $10 a month so I can do another press release to get more stuff out there and do some advertising on Facebook and Twitter and grow my other places, because I might get canceled too. I'm trying to grow MeWe. I'm trying to grow on my YouTube pages. I'm trying to grow it all. So yes, absolutely do that. And if you can, please like, comment, share. That's free. Like, comment, share is free. Do that to have us grow, because Tony's right. I'm trying to grow. If you want to keep my sponsor happy, that's even better, right? Keep my sponsor happy. The link is in the description. Click on that link. Take the election integrity survey over at theadvocates.org. Take that survey and share it. Share it on your Twitter, Facebook, whatever, LinkedIn. I don't care. Share it wherever you can possibly share it. Share the thing around. Makes me happy, makes them happy, and it's free. And it supports my sponsor. Hopefully they don't pull their funding from me so I can't get any more stuff done. So yes, you are correct. I agree completely. And I want to try to do it. I'm trying to do it now. I literally am trying to do it right now. So yes. All right. You mentioned the news network, says John. Fox News seems to be suddenly adding a little bit more libertarian reporting. Kennedy regularly interviews Spike Cohen and members of the Reason magazine staff. Trump supporters and Republicans seem to be running to OAN and Newsmax. Could Fox News go libertarian? The people who do that is Fox Business News, not Fox News. right? Fox Business News is a little bit more libertarian, but it's, such a smaller audience compared to Fox News. So I don't think Fox News will go libertarian. Fox News is still hovering. They're not sure how much power Trump is going to have. Trump still got power, right? As always, the establishment can't stand Trump, Republican or Democrat. The establishment does not like him at all. But the voters, Republican voters, many of them still like Trump. Clearly, many of them still like Trump. So the question is, how much power will Trump have? If Trump's power wanes in the coming months, I think Fox is going to back off a little bit. If his strength is stronger, I think they'll double down. I think Fox is kind of hovering right now and seeing what's going to happen on where is their bigger chunk right now. Is there someone else going to pop up? Clearly not Ted Cruz anymore. But is someone else going to pop up to replace Trump or be as powerful as Trump? Or will Trump create like an heir apparent? Like if he decides, hey, I'm not going to run. I'm just going to go, build hotels in Bali. And this guy or gal is my heir apparent. Will that happen? To be forward, I don't know. And I'm not sure they know either. So I'm not sure where that's going to go. But I don't think they go libertarian. The Fox News Business News is a much smaller audience. And is Reason libertarian? I don't know. Maybe. I haven't seen them talk to me in I don't know how long. I don't know. Who do they talk to? I don't know. Who were they talking to? To themselves? I guess Reason talks to themselves. So I guess if you're patting yourself on the back, yeah, I guess. I don't know. Does Reason do anything? I don't know. Am I dissing Reason though? I guess, yeah. I'll diss him. I don't care what Reason does. They don't talk to me. Therefore, they're irrelevant. See? There we go, John. Take that, Reason. Okay, so, all right. What do you think about the New York Stock Exchange threatening to leave New York? I think it's critical. This is a horrible, horrible thing for New York. If the New York Stock Exchange actually leaves New York City, for those who don't know, the New York Stock Exchange is being wooed by Texas. See, that problem with Texas might have stopped that. But being wooed by Texas, I think Dallas, if I'm not mistaken, might be Austin, but I think Dallas is the one wooing them, trying to get them to move to Texas. No income tax, better infrastructure, in theory. Don't know if that's true now after this disaster they just had. But yeah, if what it actually means and what I think about this is New York State is so broken that they don't understand how bad their policies are. Because not just that Goldman Sachs is being wooed by Miami. Goldman Sachs might pack up and move to Miami. Huge. Boom, Florida, no income tax. All those guys who make 7-8 figures a year. You make 7-8 figures a year, that couple percentage is a lot, right? Most of us make 5 or 6 figures a year. You make 7 or 8 figures a year? That's huge. That's huge. So, yeah, big difference. What it means is finance will just be dead in New York City. It's already dying. It's been dying forever. It's been dying because our governor, His Majesty King Andrew Cuomo II, oh, hail the king, His Majesty doesn't understand business at all because he's never been in business. He's been a government worker his entire life, doesn't understand business at all, and has to run businesses. So he's like, business is bad. There's always a problem. Government good. He always believes that. He said it multiple times. He hates for-profit anything and likes non-profit stuff. He says it all the time. So it's not like he's hiding it. But not just that. He hasn't realized that finance, many years ago, tech used to follow finance. That's what used to happen. If you were a technology company, you'd come to New York to get your financing. But since Silicon Valley, that's been changing slowly. And now finance follows tech. Tech, of course, was in San Francisco and still is basically. But now finance has been moving to San Francisco because that's where tech is. All the cool businesses, almost all of them are tech now. So they're moving to over there. Well, now Texas has been wooing those businesses to come to Austin. So they've been coming to Austin. They've been leaving, coming back to Texas. Slowly. They're not there yet, but they've been coming. Or they're coming back to Joe Rogan left California, right? A lot of people leaving California, they're going to Texas. So if tech goes to Texas, finance will also go to Texas. No one's coming to New York anymore because not only are we, our answer for everything is tax the rich. That's our answer for everything. Well, what I've said more than once and people don't seem to understand, the rich don't pay when you tax them. How do I know that? They never have. They simply move or they buy enough lawmakers so they can create loopholes so they're not paying it anyway. If you look at all the different tax rates that we've had since 1913, is that right? Is my number right? 1913? Income tax, 1913, right? 1913. The amount of tax we've collected has been similar the whole time. For a long time, it has been. Not just that, every country that had, tax the rich policies ended them. Didn't work. The rich simply went to tax havens. And what's happening now in New York, we're raising the tax on the rich, and they're leaving, and they're going to Florida, Texas, Wyoming. No income tax. They're just leaving. They're going, we're not going to pay it. They're packing up and going away. And not just that. Now we thought, because we're so super smart, we'll have finance pay, and we'll do a transaction tax. I'm not joking. They thought, transaction tax. That'll get those rich bankers. And then Texas heard that and said, you could come here, no income tax, no transaction tax. Not too shabby. So it's a terrible thing, and we're doing nothing about it. And I think if it wasn't for the recent disaster, that is going to make finance rethink, because finance can't be knocked down like that for 3 to 4 days. 3 to 4 days, that's literally billions of dollars. They're not going to stand for that. This has to be rebuilt, or finance is not going to go there. They'll go someplace else. They'll go to Wyoming or whatever. I don't know where they're going to go. Florida, something. But they can't be down for 3 days. No way. I hope I answered your question. So, Larry, what's your opinion on reparations? There's a committee in Congress being formed to consider it. Yeah, I just talked about reparations. For those of you who don't know, I put on my Sharpe Way Facebook page. I had a conversation with Dr. Thunder. You check that out. At the end of that, I discussed my plan for reparations. I've discussed my plan several times for reparations. If you really want the details on how it works, you can go to my Juneteenth Sharpe Way from last June 19th. I did about an hour and a half on that, and I explained everything from front to back, where reparations came from, what the idea was, what we should be doing now, all those kinds of things. Let me give you my general overview on reparations. I'm not against reparations at all. Not at all. Every other group of people that America has somehow hurt has been given some form of reparation. I'm not against the idea. I am against the idea of a check. I think that's a bad idea. And it makes people angry. Many people really want that. Well, they should just give them a check, give them money. I get it. I get the feeling of that. The reason why I'm against the check is because, believe it or not, the lottery. If you look at the lottery, about 50% of people, a little more than 50% of people who win a lottery 5 years later are worse off. About a third go bankrupt. Why would I want to hurt my people that way? Why would I want to create an environment to where half of the people are worse off and a third of my people go bankrupt? Why would I want to do that? That would be a terrible thing. I don't hate my family that much. So I want to do that. Next, well, Larry, what we do is instead, this is the response, instead of that one payment, we'll do lump sum, right? We'll do like a UBI almost. We'll give, X thousands of dollars every month or every year, that kind of payment. I get that too. I get that feels good. I'm against that also, though. And the reason is, you see it right now with structured settlements that we have all over the place. People who are suing people, who fall down and slip, and they get structured payments, right? Oh, your case is worth $1 million. We'll give you $10,000 a month for X number of months, whatever. What do you see constantly happen? Vulture lending, right? People come in and go, look, let me get your structured payments. I'll give you money now. Take the money now. I know he said $1 million, but you're going to have to wait 10 years for your $1 million. I'll give you $500,000 right now, and I'll just take your payments. And someone goes, $500,000 now. I'll take that. Great. They take the lump sum. They give their payments over to some banker who now takes that and loans against it and sells that debt and makes tons of money. You got your big cash. We're back to lottery again. And now I have half the people who are worse off and they're going bankrupt. I don't want to encourage either of those things. Now, for those who don't know, the original idea of reparations was actually a very good idea. The idea was 40 acres and a mule. The concept was, this is back in the 1860s, that you would take away the land from the wealthy slave owners who owned the plantations. Makes sense. These people were the people who had slaves. They did the bad stuff. Wonderful. Let's punish them directly. They had slaves. I love it. Take their land, give it to the slaves, people who worked the land, and we're good. Doesn't punish the poor whites who didn't own slaves. It punishes only the wealthy whites who owned the slaves and took advantage of it. Okay, makes sense. And gives them land that they can now use on their own and be self-sufficient. They know how to use the land. They've been slaves for hundreds of years. So they know how to do that. And the military at the end of the war literally had like 1 million mules or whatever the number was. I mean, tons of mules that it had that it couldn't use anymore. Okay, give them to the slaves. So you give the mules away because you don't need them anymore. What are you going to do? Keep feeding them or, kill them. So you give them to the slaves and give them the land. Well done. 40 acres and a mule. What an amazing idea. What happened? Andrew Johnson comes in after Lincoln is killed and says, nope, can't have it. Nope. Nope, not at all. And literally thousands of former slaves literally went to that land and they were farming it. They were like, great, we have land now. Thank you, guys. We're good. We're gonna make our lives now. Awesome. Thank you. And Andrew Johnson physically sent soldiers in to pull them off, kill them if need be, yank them off, or force them into sharecropper agreements, which is basically serfdom instead of slavery. That's what actually happened. And then every time the Black communities began to grow on their own, which they did many times, they were, again, literally attacked by government forces. They were burned, attacked, bombed in certain cases, arresting people, destroyed. Black Wall Street was outside of Tulsa was the most popular, but there were dozens of them throughout the country that were attacked by the government. So I get the idea of reparations, but what I want to do is the biggest issue that you have for any immigrant group that's come to America, whether they're Italians, Jews, Irish, whatever, all of them had to get over massive hurdles. All of them, right? Racism or bigotry or anti-Semitism, hatred of the other, Irish need not apply, all those things. But the one thing they had that Blacks did not have, that free slaves didn't have, is they were able to retain property, get businesses, get property, and pass that on to their next generation. And many did. Many got an education, bought a house or bought something and gave it to their son or daughter or sons and daughters, and they began to grow over family, right? They go to college, whatever, all those things, they began to grow. I want to create a reparations package that's similar to that for the Black community, for the descendants of slaves. Descendants of slaves, or ADOS, African descendants of slaves, descendants of slaves. For that group of people, which includes me, by the way, is a very simple system. No matter where you are in America, if you purchase a property, any property, commercial or private, doesn't matter. I mean, commercial or residential, doesn't matter. Regardless of whatever the laws are in any given state, your property tax is half, period, for 23 years. 23 years is one generation. This process works for 23 years. One generation, you get any property that is owned by 51% or more of any descendant of slaves is half property tax. Period. Done. No exception. No exception. No matter what. Half. What's going to wind up happening? Well, Black people in general, descendants of slaves, start thinking, I start buying some property. I'm paying half tax. Okay. I might buy some commercial stuff. Okay. I might try that. But not just that. Anyone who wants to buy is now going to start saying, so I'm going to buy this multi-million-dollar apartment building. My tax is half? Where are my Black friends? I got to find some. I got to find some Black friends. It's going to encourage integration without forcing integration. It will encourage you to do so. You don't have to. Look, if you already own your house outward or you own your property outward already, your taxes aren't that high anymore, and you're making money, forget it. You'll just keep it the way. You won't do anything. Good for you. Good on you. Enjoy. Doesn't affect you at all. But somebody else, they might want to try. Now, it's not going to be a situation where there are quotas, because I'm not saying if there are X number of Black people living in the home. I don't care who lives in the home. I care about ownership. 51% or more descendant of slaves, half tax. If that changes, bait and switch. Well, I bought it with my two Black friends, then I bought them out. Your tax rate goes back up. Must maintain ownership for the 1% or more. But I'm still not done. What happens when they're massive deals? Big deals like apartment buildings or commercial buildings in New York City that cost $1 billion and such. You want some Black people on top of that. What does that do? It allows you to start integrating voluntarily. If you don't want to, don't. No worries. And it allows people who normally don't think about that to start thinking about that. Still not done. Any business opened and owned by 51% descendant of slaves, half business tax. Done. Half business tax. Same thing. It allows Black people to say, you know what? I should be opening up businesses. I should be. And it allows people to say, you know what? I'm going to bring you aboard. Come aboard. I got a business I want to own. I'm going to bring you. I need a partner. I'm going to grab you, give you 51% because I want that benefit. Come on in. It's going to encourage integration without forcing it. 23 years. Last piece. If anyone who's a descendant of slaves wants to transfer wealth to another descendant of slaves who is in their direct family, it is free, regardless of any taxes or regardless of any fees by any state. It is irrelevant. It is free. Black people, descendants of slaves, get to start to have the property they didn't get from years ago. The mindset of ownership becomes placed inside the Black community deeper than it's ever been, except, I'm sorry, it was earlier. Prior to World War II, it was still pretty good. Prior to World War I, it was even better. After World War II, it was just devastating because of government policies that just made sure that Black people couldn't own homes in the right neighborhoods. Physical laws and rules that the federal government came up with stopped that. So now that will begin to change. Ownership comes back in. Killer Mike did an episode on his TV show on Netflix. He talked about trying in Atlanta, a heavily Black city, trying to just survive one day in only Black-owned businesses. He couldn't do it. In Atlanta, he couldn't do it. That's our problem. That's our biggest issue. And that was heavily systemic. That was heavily based upon policies that physically stopped us. The government physically stopped us. I say this all the time. People aren't naturally racist. People are naturally tribal. 100% true. But racism has to be taught. Racism has to be created by government. Government creates racism constantly, right? Think about it. Why in the world would you have to have segregation laws in the South? Because if you didn't, people would mingle. So you had to make laws to not let them do it because people would, because people do. That's how it works. So that would happen. So you have to make laws that say no. Make laws, literally, and again, it's the rules. If you want to look at my Juneteenth, I talk about the whole thing. There were rules that wouldn't let Black people into new developments. Literally federal guidelines. They had a percentage they felt with the undesirable people. And I'm not making this up. I show the data. There's documents right there. If you were Jewish, Italian, or Irish, you are undesirable. So up to 30% of a neighborhood could be those people. But if you were Black, no. Zero. No Black people could be. It's called redlining. That's government. Do you think the average person, the average American would be like, no, I don't want any Black people in the neighborhood? No. They would have said, how much money they got? So the average person would have done back then. So I hope I was clearer on my concepts on reparations. I want to actually spend the time, 23 years, making that happen to change the culture within the Black community, but also to encourage integration without forcing it, but something else. All of a sudden, when that 23 years is starting to come to an end, who's going to want to get the tax rate to be high again? Nobody. They're going to fight it. So once that 23 years comes, you're going to watch the tax rate start coming down, and by the time 20 years comes, everyone's going to have that tax rate. Everyone gets a tax cut. So what's everyone going to say? Thanks, Black people. You gave us tax cuts. You're the best. That's what I would like. I would like that. I would like a complete change of thought process in the country. I would like a total way of change of way of looking at the Black community. And I think this type of system is a better system. Is it perfect? No, not at all. Could you tweak it, change it? Sure. I'd be happy with tweaks or changes. But I think that style of reparations is a far better way of doing it and doesn't punish people, just rewards. The response I get often is, but then Larry, I want the tax base go down. No, not much at all. And it shouldn't. Because remember, Black people are only about 13% of the population. So tax-wise, it's not that much, and it's only business and property tax. So it shouldn't be a critical loss. It'd be a little bit, but it should also spur a bunch of commerce as people begin to rebuy, change, shift, and adjust. It should also spur commerce while not being that big of a dip. So it shouldn't be that big of a dip. That is my hope, at least. So I hope that was clear. I went long, but you asked a serious question. So, all right. Let's see here. U.S. dollar is going to crash. When it does, I guess you won't be able to send trillions of dollars overseas anymore. Maybe that is what will keep the dollar going. The world needs our money. Yes, it needs our money and a military-industrial complex. Both. Yes. AmeriCoin. Yes, nice ring to it. That might be true, Paul. We might be getting that soon. We might be getting that like any day now. I'm not sure that's a joke. We'll see, I guess. Yes. How did you get into teaching, training corporate managers? It's funny you bring that up. I did it. My business crashed. I used to do sales training. 2004, my first business. Well, the business I have now, my first iteration of it was heavily based upon sales training. The crash devastated me. I mean, just totally devastated me. I had to close my office down, fire my employees. It was horrible. So I had to reboot. So when I rebooted, I had to reboot in a way that people would hear me. And when I was doing sales training back in 2009, 10, nobody wanted to hear that. They just didn't believe people could sell more. We were so broken by, by the crash of 2008 and 9. So I said, well, you're firing people. They're like, yeah, all over the place. I said, well, you want to do more with less? They're like, yeah. So I started leadership training, and I used everything I knew from sales and influence, and I added into that things that I'd learned from my own mistakes and errors that I made, added into that also my Marine Corps experience. I put it all together and I built out a course. And I still teach to this day. That was built in 2010, 11 it was built. So it's about 10 years old, and I literally was teaching it last week. So yeah, I still do it. So I hope that answers your question. That's the way I make my money. So, all right. Let's see if I can do this. But Larry, it's not just Coke. Privilege being white. You have seen my house. Where's my privilege? Now I've had people telling me I'm too white. All this is making more division. I agree. And the issue is what I was talking about, right? If you're going to talk about the idea of white privilege, whatever that is, white privilege isn't a thing that an individual does. In other words, if I'm a white guy, I don't go, boy, I'm a white guy. I'm so privileged. That's not what I do. If there is such a thing as white privilege, it's cultural. It's given by the system. Why are we punishing individuals for a system? It doesn't make any sense. The system is saying this or that. The system is making the red line so black people can't get the jobs. Can't get the homes where they want to get a home. The system decides that, the Irish, had to go fight in the Civil War so they can get citizenship. It was the system that was doing these types of things. It wasn't the individuals who were, if that makes any sense. So if you're going to play the privilege game, okay, great, play that game. But why are you punishing the individual? How about saying, we have a system that's bad. We have a system that says cops either go out and get cash so that they can survive and pay their own bills, because the 1994 crime bill put a bunch of cops in the street and didn't pay for them. Well, where are we going to get that money from? Poor neighborhoods, they carry cash. Rich neighborhoods don't. Well, so now we got cops for 20 years fighting in poor neighborhoods trying to grab money. That's systemic. Do you think the individual cop, when he came on, thought, you know what, I'm going to go get black people? The individual, I'm sure they have racist cops because there's racist everybody. Of course they exist. But the average cop doesn't go, I can't wait to beat up black people. He doesn't. He says, I'm trying to do my job. And they create a system to where that's where his job is. So he becomes that person. Of course. And that's not just it. That's everything. So the idea of blaming the individual for some type of privilege isn't helpful. It's not making anything better. Right? It's not helpful. If you think that there's a systematic issue, then stop blaming the individual and blame the system and change the system. And everything I've been talking about when it comes to race relationships have always been about changing the system. I believe in my heart, and maybe I'm naive, and if I am, so what? I'm naive. I'll take that. I believe in my heart, if we change our systems, that the people will, without question, fall into just judging people by who they are. I think people usually do that. They usually do. That's what I think. So we'll see. But I think you're right, Michelle. It's not helping. It's making people angrier. It's making people mad. It's making them not want to hear anything. Right? The problem is even when I say it, I know some people, when I said systemic, they got angry. It triggered them. I know. Because when they hear systemic, what they think is, you're calling me a racist. And it's actually the opposite. But the problem is what Michelle's saying. People are saying it's systemic. See, you mean white people. And I'm saying, no, not you mean white people. Bad system that pits us against each other. That's a change system. This is the individual's fault. System's fault. Let's change that. So I agree. Thank you. Yes. All right. So if I can grab this again. Who is Coke to lecture someone on their toxic whiteness? Their product is liquid carbonated sugar that cleans car engines. Is one of the reasons America is one of the most overweight countries in the world. Even South Park couldn't make up this absurdity. I think, Avi, what I was talking about, I don't know if you saw it earlier, it was the idea that they're just afraid. They're afraid of cancel culture, and they want to say, see, look, go to Coke, taste the wokeness. That's what they want to do. I get it. I'm not mad at them for this. I know people are. I'm not. I'm mad. I'll go back to exactly what Michelle and I were talking about. We have a system now that is zero tolerance. At the second someone says, manager called me a name and he's a racist or a sexist or a insert bad word here, whatever is the bad word of the day, Coke is afraid of getting hammered. And then when I say, no, we had our training. See, we had our training. And if some lecturer who has some degree or something walks in and goes, let me tell you about this, Coke doesn't know. Coke says, fine, that's the thing to not get us sued. Let's do that. I don't think Coke cares at all about someone's toxic whiteness. I don't know the people at Coke. I don't. So I could be wrong. There could be some people there who really care, but I doubt it. I think Coke cares about keep buying my soda. Keep buying my liquid carbonated sugar that cleans car engines. Please keep buying that. That's what they care about. And if you buy it and people keep buying it, they're good. Now, if you don't like it, millions do. And they want those millions to keep buying. I really think that's all they care about. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's where my head is. So, yes. All right. Let's see here. Speaking of which, Larry, how do you get on the internet today? I'm not sure where that came. I must have missed something. Sorry, I must have missed something. These come in at certain times, so I apologize. I might have missed where you started with that one. I apologize. I can't get everyone on the same time. I apologize. So I'll see if I can figure this one out. Lauren says, how do we entice you to move to Utica and run for state senate or assembly? The funny thing is my daughter loves Utica. She does. She loves Utica. It's about all the time. I have a picture of Utica somewhere. Do I have it around here? I don't have it here. I do have it somewhere. I was given a gift, a drawing of Utica, and I still have it. There it is. Okay. I can't grab it right now, but I actually have it in my office. I have an actual picture of Utica that was drawn. So we do like Utica, but I don't know. Probably I'm going to stay in New York City. I am a New York City boy. I just am. And the one thing I like about it is I don't lie. It's who I am. It's okay. Yes. Let's see if I can keep doing this here. Grab a couple more of these. I took the election integrity test and shockingly found out I side with libertarians. Yeah, see, there we go. Surprise. Absolutely. Adam says, great response. Thank you, Larry. Good. Yes. Well, I hope I gave you what you were looking at. Absolutely. Yep. All right. Larry, do you have any plans, Brian says, for celebrating the upcoming 1-year anniversary of 2 weeks to flatten the curve? I plan to wear my NBC gear. Nice. For those of you who know what NBC gear is, NBC is nuclear, biological, and chemical gear. I still have it. In fact, I brought out my gas mask for one of the shows. So, yes, I actually have it. I still have my gas mask. I still have it. I shouldn't have it, but I do. I have that and a helmet. I got a couple things that the Marine Corps lost. Yeah, a couple things. Absolutely. I appreciate that very much. Yes. All right. I think he's saying your vote means nothing. Oh, I see what you're saying. From that guy who talked about the McDonald's Corporation. Oh, he means my vote means nothing. It's a part of that that's true, but it's not the same. But I get what he's saying. I see his anger. I'm not sure I buy that one. I'm not sure I do. So, but I get his anger. So. Why is the media obsessed with Ted Cruz going to Cancun and the lockdowns? Again, what was I saying? Is what he actually did so bad? Not really. No, I mean, it's not like, Texas is better off or worse off whether he went to Cancun or not. But he should have known better, Pete. I mean, he knows he's under scrutiny. He knows the optics are bad and everybody's looking at him and waiting to hammer him. There was no way he was getting away with that. He should have known better is all I'm saying. What he did wasn't that bad. But, man, he should have known better. That was just rookie move. And you trying to be president and doing that one? Come on, man. I don't know. So, all right. See if I can keep doing this here. Let's see if I can keep going this. The king states, we know which king this is, His Majesty King Andrew Cuomo II, oh, hail the king. I did not aggressively enough take on the misinformation that caused people pain for grieving families, and that's what I regret. I'm not going to make them say again. So he means it's not God's fault, like I said before. Yes, he did. You remember, Julie? He literally blamed God. Yes, Cuomo literally blamed God. That is absolutely true. He did. But he's all he's saying is, I didn't call you people liars enough. That's what that statement says. I'm perfect, but I didn't call you guys liar aggressively. And I should have just really yelled at you and called your names. Then it would all be okay. That's what he's actually saying. Larry, thanks for being such an inspiration to the libertarian community. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate that, my friend. I am trying. Thank you so much. So, all right. All right. It was an opportunity for Ted Cruz in Texas, and he blew it. Tom, yes, that's my point. Yes, he should have known better. You're a politician trying to become president. You just backed Trump. Trump is going in the back. CNN and MSNBC can't wait to find another bad guy. They can't wait. And you were like, I'll be your bad guy. What a terrible move. He just should have known better. This is my point, Pete. Same thing. What he did wasn't that bad. It wasn't. But man, was the optics were terrible. He should have known better. And to Tom's point, he should have went out there and got a snow shovel and got his people to take a picture of him shoveling snow or whatever. What a great opportunity, or whatever he could have done, or shook his fist at the bad guy, or come up with a plan to fix it or something. I had a plan to fix it. I did a video on how to fix this thing, and he didn't. I'm in New York, and I had a video and a press release on how to fix Texas, because I always come up with plans. That's what I do. I'm a freaking plan machine. That's what I do. I come up with plans to fix things. That's what I do in my business world also. I fix things as a consultant. I fix things, and he didn't. Shame on him. Shame on him. So, all right, I'm going to grab a couple more. The fact checkers, in quotes, on Facebook are getting really funny. People are forgetting independent does not mean unbiased. Valid point. Oh, nicely. You're right. Independent does not mean unbiased. Very true. Independent means independent. Yes, absolutely. So, all right, here, grab a couple more. Excuse me. Very true. People prefer the illusion of freedom with someone else making the choices. Yeah, because I don't have to blame anybody. Oh, Adrienne, do you have a Kick the Crown hoodie? Oh, so good. For those of you who don't know, I had a gentleman on last week who was behind Kick the Crown, which is basically get Cuomo out, the king. Yes, Kick the Crown. It's kickthecrown.com. Please check it out. It's amazing. Adrian, thank you for that. I'm glad you bought it. Now you're showing it. I love that. Yes. So that's right, Larry. Just blow over my comment. I literally did not blow over your comment. I just lost all respect for you. All right. I'm going to get upset now because this triggers me. This triggers me. Not that I blew over his comment. I didn't. But this idea that people think you're so righteous. I just lost all respect. You did one thing. You know what? Go take a hike, man. Go take a hike. I don't need people like you at all, in my world at all. I used to love you, but you did just one thing. I was imperfect, and now I'm no longer valuable to you. Well, guess what? I will always be imperfect. Always. And so will you. So will you, Mr. Righteous. You will also be imperfect. Just like everyone else watching, everyone else listening, we are all imperfect. And we will all make mistakes or be wrong or disagree. That's how humans work, Mr. Wise Ass. That's how humans work. So if you lose all respect because you did one thing, take a hike, go away, don't ever come back. And I never say that. I always beg people to stay. I do it constantly. I beg people who are mad at me to stay. Because when they get mad at me and tell me that they think I'm wrong, they're not just going, I'm done. They're saying, well, I'm disappointed or I'm unhappy. And I tell them that I'm human and I want them to stay. And I do. I want you to stay even when we disagree. And I am sure everyone listening has thought I was wrong with something or incorrect with something or off or whatever. And maybe I am. I'm wrong sometimes. I change my mind sometimes. And maybe you're wrong. Or maybe we're both right. Or maybe we're both wrong. All of those things are possible. But if you're going to play this, well, I used to, but this one thing, I lost all respect. Take a hike, man. Don't come back. All you care about is your own righteousness. And here's the proof, which is super smart. Now, you know what? I'm not going to look it up. And I usually do. And people know I look up stuff they gave me. I check it out and I come back. You, I'm not. I'm not. And I hope it drives you freaking crazy. I am purposefully not going to look that up because of you. You feel better. You feel righteous. Taught me a lesson. You taught nobody a lesson. You embarrass yourself. Sorry, I got all triggered. You got me all triggered. I shouldn't get triggered. Sorry. All right. Do you think Biden is going to use VP Harris for more than just trips to West Virginia? He does not seem to be taking advantage of having a black woman in the White House. I guess you're right, and this administration is going to be all Joes. No, I don't think so. The thing to remember is Kamala, it's going to sound horrible. Kamala doesn't connect with the black community that much. She connects far more with women than she does the black community. She doesn't connect as much as you would think with the black community. She doesn't. And that's becoming obvious. So he's not going to use her as much what you would think was going to work because she doesn't connect very well there. It's not who she is. She doesn't connect very well at all. So that's why he's not using her that much. But will he use her more? Yes, but more in the last 2 years when he's prepping her to take his place. That's when he'll start using her. I think he starts using her much more in year 3 because just like you, Paula, you're looking for her to be that she taking over. So they're going to let that lie for about 2 years. Then I think he puts her much more into the world, doing much more so that it feels comfortable with her making the next step and running in 2024. That's my view. I think it's just on purpose, I think. I hope that answers your question. So, all right. Freedom requires knowing your rights. Yes. Knowing how to enforce them ourselves and to get over the learned helplessness. Learned helplessness, I use it all the time. You are completely correct. Yes, all the time. We have to get over that. Yes, James, thank you so much. And this is a tough thing for all of us to deal with the issues that we have and to get past them. 100%. Yes. So there is no need to have National Guard troops in D.C. This will cost taxpayers billions. It is. And yes, it is to make them feel better. To make them feel better. Yes. Did Pepsi solve racism? You're right. I'd forgotten that commercial. Oh my God, you're correct. I forgot about they did solve racism. It's over. All right, let me go tell people. It's already done. Thank you for that reminder. I appreciate that. Yes. All right. Let's see here if I can keep going. Grab a couple more here. If you drink a can of sugar-laden poison, you can become woke. Yeah, why not? I love that idea. I love that. Taste of wokeness. I like that. Absolutely. Yes, that'd be amazing. So see if I can grab a couple more here. I answered that one already. Name me one institution we can still trust. Schools, media, the cops, government, unions, church. Nope. Wow. It's, this is what Fareed was actually talking about. He was talking about falling back to institutions. And I think it's a valid question. Frankenstein wrong thinker. I think it's a valid question, right? What institutions can we trust? Often you hear me talking about going back to communities and that community centers. And I bring this based upon one issue. We as Americans do not like nor trust Congress. We don't. Constantly we see it. The polling is consistent all the time. Yet we keep voting in the same people because most of the time we like our person. We like our guy or gal. We tend to. That's a tendency. It's not a 100% rule, but we tend to like our guy or gal. I think the more you bring it down to the local, the more trust we'll get, and we can rebuild from there. If we're going to rebuild, what you hear me keep saying, localize schools. Yeah, to trust them more. Localize how you change the cops. My plan to reorganize cops is all based upon local people being policed how they want to be policed. City policing is different than rural policing, different than suburban policing, right? So you change and shift and do it the way you feel most comfortable. Changes how you look about the cops. Local, having more power locally within actual counties, right? In New York State, we have, senators and assemblymen that have districts all over the place. Should all be based upon counties. Then each county has its own representation. You trust them more. I think we can, but I think you're right. We're really struggling to trust these institutions completely. You're right. I think localization is the answer there. We build it from there. So, all right. People of color are angry because if they knew that there was racism, they should have fixed it long ago. And if not, why aren't they being asked to be less black? And of course, the ridiculous of the whole thing. Yeah, but there's something else, right? And I'll say it. I speak for myself, as I always say that. But at the same time, I know I speak for a lot of people of color, black people. I know I do when I say this. We don't want you to save us, white people. We don't want that. We don't. And if you want to be sorry or say you're sorry or whatever because it makes you feel good, okay, I accept your apology. Makes you feel good. Fine. Not required. Not required. If it makes you feel good, I'm happy to accept your apology. It's not required at all. It's not what we want. Not every black person thinks that. I'm not speaking for every black person. Usually I say I only speak for myself. In this case, I know I'm speaking for many when I say this. For many. We don't want you to save us. We just want to get back in action. So anyway, I hope that's clear. So, all right. I dropped drinking Pepsi based on their CEO manipulating their employees' vote towards liberals. I changed to Coke. Now it's time for change again. Gary, it's going anywhere you go, man. It's fear of getting hammered. It's fear of getting canceled. Anywhere you go, it's coming next. I tell you guys all the time, you tease me. You say, Larry, why do you care about New York? What happens in New York comes to your state. That's why we got to fight here. That's why we got to fight here, without question. Tim, I mean, it's horrible for you. Only RC Cola. Yeah, I don't know, man. RC will be next. I'm just saying it just keeps coming. It just keeps coming. Absolutely. So, yes. All right. I don't drink soda. They lost my business. Yeah. I don't drink my soda either. Here or there, but not much at all. Yes. So, Dr. Thunder, by the way, I spoke about, you go to his YouTube page. I spoke about reparations plan right there. Dr. Thunder agrees with me. Black people don't want white people to save them. That's not what we're about. Well, some are. Again, I don't want to say this. I don't speak for the entire, African-American community. I do not at all. I speak for myself almost always, right? When I say my things that I say, it's how I feel. In this case, I feel comfortable saying I speak for many people of color when I say that. Not all, but many. So I hope that was clear. So, all righty. The game show Jeopardy is not the same without Alex Trebek. Are you watching it now, Andrew? Okay. Ed says about cancel culture, zero tolerance culture, it leads back when the Puritans been trying to take control of everyone with religion and fear along with doing these witch hunts trials, just like what happened in Salem. Yes, Ed, you're correct. It's very similar. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now we got the political Puritans are doing the same thing, except it's similar. I'm with you, and I think it is true. It is a puritanical drive that is simply not healthy. It wasn't healthy then. It's not healthy now. Avi, Larry, I respectfully disagree that Bernie is consistent. Oh, okay. All right. Well, is it a facade of consistency? I think a lot of people believe he's consistent. Let me keep reading. I'm sorry. I jumped the gun. Since COVID, we have seen the biggest wealth transfer from rich to the poor, crushing small businesses and hurting working people, while Amazon, Walmart, and other huge corporations dominate the market. All true. He hasn't said a word supporting the little guy. He is a sellout. Still think you were awesome, but I'm screwing this announced with Bernie. Maybe recently, but I think I'm trying to see where you're going with this, and what you just said is true. He hasn't said much. I mean, he still talks about, helping out the poor. He still talks about that, but not like this. You're right. He hasn't addressed this specifically. That's true. Well, at least not that I know. If he has, it hasn't been mainstream if he has addressed it. So I don't think he has. It's a great point. I think Trump, I think, changed. I think this last election broke Bernie in that regard, right? I mean, if you go last year and before, I think you do have a consistent Bernie. I think you do. If you go last year and before, I think you do. But your point about recently is true. There has been a massive swap change in increase in the wealth gap. That's true. Maybe. You know what? I could be turned. The image, I'm sorry, is still the same. That I will say. His image of consistency is still there. That's true. Is he actually? I think time will tell. Is he does he believe that he can get what he wants out of Biden and that's why he's quiet? I don't know the answer to that. If that is, then he would still be that way. If not, no. So, okay. I just subscribed, talked about a talk on Clubhouse at 9. Yes, I will be on Clubhouse tonight in about 40 minutes. Yes, so I know I'm insane. I did three podcasts today, 3 interviews today, plus this show, plus I'm doing Clubhouse. I'm on 8 shows this week, plus my own shows. I know, it's crazy. I'm insane. But I'm doing what I said, right? You guys are telling me about I got to get out there. This is my time to do it. I'm trying. I'm out doing everything. I am actually trying. Brian, I'm trying. See, I'm trying. Absolutely. I'm trying to make this happen. It's the best way I can make this work, to get out there and keep doing things. And there is the link right there. If you want to head over there, please go ahead. I appreciate it. I posted it on my social media also, if you want to check that out. Yes. So, all righty. Yes. Catholics proselytize. Ever heard of crusades? I meant recently, Brian. I didn't mean the crusades. I meant like now. Of course. Wise guy, busted my stones. All right. Anyway. Larry Sharpe, what do you think about bar members and executive legislative branches undermining the separation of powers and checks and balances because they're office of the court? I think it's terrible. And I think that's happened more than once. Remember something. Most people who are in that world, they see themselves in their own heads as priests of a sacred religion. And therefore, if they see themselves that way, they are the religion. And they can do what they think is right for the sake of the church. It's how they look at it. So while it's wrong, I don't know if it gets better unless you have some other type of oversight, which right now judges have almost no oversight. Bar members have almost no oversight except themselves, which you know how well that works. So I get your point. Absolutely. So do you want to know who warned about New York City live in New York? Me. And everyone else who knows how taxes work. Yes, absolutely. Yes, 100%. All right, let me grab a couple more if I could here. What about those amazing pilot programs off by Cuomo? They're clearly fixing things in New York. None of his policies have ever worked. None of them. Can you take segment about stock exchange and Goldman Sachs as separate bullet message? Do you mean like as a short video? Maybe. If my team is listening, he would have just asked. Yes, absolutely. Please, that'd be a great idea. I love that idea. 100%. Not a bad idea at all. Yes. All right. Strange irony that we celebrate Juneteenth because Texas was the last to know. Now Texas is the place to be. That's true. Yes. Some of you don't know, but Juneteenth is celebrates Texas, which was the last state to get that the slaves were now free. So yes, that's where Juneteenth comes from. Thank you. Wow, look at that, Shelley. Nicely done. I love that. Yes. All right, so if I grab a couple more. All right. Starting tomorrow, monthly support. Thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate that, brother. Every little bit counts. I do appreciate that. Yes. All right, I'll grab one more if I can. MLK's mother was also killed by the government. Oh, is that right? I didn't know that. I'm trying to think about that. I don't remember that one at all. Okay. Check that one out. All right. Gas prices are shooting up faster than the Biden vote counted to a very nice. I'm going to remember that joke. Jennifer, well done. I'm going to remember that one. That's very good. Yes. All right. The reparations process would kill revenue. Cuomo would lose it. You mean revenue coming in from taxes? Maybe. But the advantage is if all of a sudden that was the issue, it would actually wind up lowering property taxes in black neighborhoods, right? So it would actually encourage people to move in. And I might say, well, Larry, that's gentrification. Not if you're an owner, right? Gentrification is only bad for people who are renters. If you're a renter, gentrification is terrible. If you're an owner, it's not at all. It's great. It raises your property taxes. You choose who you sell to. You can stay if you want to in a better neighborhood. You can sell to your family. You can do what you want. Gentrification hurts when you're a renter. But when you have an ownership mentality, I don't think it does. And I think it would overall raise. People would move to different areas. And that commerce would change and would still raise revenue without having to raise taxes. So I think it could still work. So, but nobody wants to do my style of reparations. I brought it up more than once, and it doesn't seem to take fire. People just want to go the old route and write a check and solve nothing and then say it's over. But whatever. Yes. I'm all for less taxes for anyone, but what about black people that don't have any financial ability to purchase a home or a business or to transfer anyone? They don't get any reparations. That's my point, Yana. I think what will happen, and I believe this, is that Now you're going to have people who want to save money. What will that mean? Banks will loan to black people. They'll actually be prioritized. They'll be prioritized. Not just that, people will vouch for them. Why? Because they want them in to save money. So it will increase people who normally wouldn't be able to. Think about it. You're going to buy a building. Are you going to grab some black guy who you happen to know? Of course not. You're only going to find people who you trust. You trust. Their financial ability is no longer the key issue in the purchase. It's only a trust level. So you can find somebody who you went to school with, somebody who you trust, a black friend you had your whole life, or when you've had recently who you know, someone you worked with before, who you thought was a good guy, a good gal. She was smart, she was savvy, she was trustworthy. I really liked her. That's the person you're going to go to, because you're giving that person 51% ownership of that piece of property. It's got to be some trust. So you probably wouldn't give it to one. You probably give it to two, because it's going to be one person. So you get two people. Each of them gets 25.5%, and you get 49%. So individually, you're bigger than both, but both have the team up to stop you. Does that make sense? So if one of them tries to screw you over, you still have the other one, right? So you two, maybe three, if you felt so. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Let's say that each of the people has very little to give. Okay, 10 equals 51%. All of a sudden, now you have more people involved. And people who, if you don't have the financial ability to own or purchase a home or a business, how are you going to get it in today's world? This way. That's how you get that information. That's how you get that mindset. There are tons of people who would never even imagine purchasing something. All of a sudden now, here comes your Indian friend, your white friend, your Asian friend, your Hispanic friend saying, I got some. Why don't you come talk to me, man? You were always a good guy. I always liked you. You're smart. I trust you. Let's do this. I think that will encourage people to do so. And again, it's over 23 years. It isn't just tomorrow. It's 23 years. So if you don't have it now, next year, the year after, 4 years from now, all those things, I think it helps. And if you're looking at it for transferring wealth, you don't mind transferring wealth to somebody who's poorer. Cost you nothing. So anyway, I'm hoping that would happen. So yes. Shorthand posted the other day, the page of the day. Please accept my apology for not having more info handy at the moment. Oh, sorry, I must have missed that one. I apologize, guys. I must have missed that one. All right. The marriage license is an example of legislation to maintain racial purity in New York. 100%. Marriage licenses were exactly for that, to make sure black and white people didn't get married. Yes, again, legal issues. But if you were Italian or Jewish or Irish, marry who you want. You're black? No. Why did it have to do that? Because people would have mingled. A black person, a white person would have found a connection in some way and would have gotten married, of course. I'm an example of that. That's what happens. So, of course, yes. So, love the idea. Very pro-liberty solution. Thanks for answering my question, Larry. I didn't think my goofy face was going to be on screen for so long. Well, there we go. You need a better picture. So, yes, absolutely. I appreciate that, though. Yes, of course. So, let's see. Let's see if I can grab this. Hey, Larry, God bless you. If someone agrees with you 4 to 5 times, that's a friend. I got attacked one for being for IP laws at Porkfest at one time. Was so yeah, I get it. If you agree with me 4 to 5 times, we're good. We're still allies, right? We're still allies. Even if you say, look, I love you, Larry, but I'm not going to become libertarian. Okay, we can still be allies. We'll ally when we can. Absolutely. I agree completely. Right. And we're not going to agree on everything. We're not gonna. We're just humans. And that is that we're going to be wrong sometimes. Right. I'm going to be wrong sometimes. Very rarely. But I'm going to be wrong sometimes. And so's everybody. Yes, absolutely. So let me keep going if I can. All right. Bernie is sick of getting kicked by the DNC. I think that's true also. I do think that's true. He is getting kicked. Absolutely. 100%. All right. Let's see if I can keep going. Grab a couple of these if I can. The COVID hysteria extended for another year. When is the madness going to end? I agree. This idea of us having to constantly fear COVID forever is going to crush us. We have to at one point just end this. We have to. I don't know when that time is. I would do it now, but oh my God. Absolutely. It's really tough. So, all right, let me grab a couple more of these. All right. What is this here? All right, let me keep getting out of here. Hold on. All right, I got a couple more if I can. Politics never worked. That's true also. Yes, also true. Democrat policies sound good, but they don't actually work. This is a good thing that people don't understand. Politics is emotional. And with the exception of recently, prior of this year, another thing is the difference. Democratic rhetoric sounded great. It always had a warm, fuzzy feeling. Oh, it's about, equality, and it's about fairness, and it's about blah. Just amazing. I love that idea. But then in practice, yeah, nothing but bad, nothing but bad, nothing but bad. So yeah, I completely agree with that. All right, guys, I want to thank you so much for today. I appreciate everything you guys have done. I really appreciate all the time that you've given me. I appreciate that. Oh, excuse me, I apologize for that. Yeah, so please, thank you so much for that. Guys, do me a favor. If you think that I'm giving you what you want and things are good, head over to patreon.com/Sharpe Way and throw me $10 a month so I can keep doing this. I appreciate it. If you can't afford that, I get it. A lot of people are hurting right now, or you're giving to a lot of other people. You got other priorities in your life. No worries if you don't. Here's what you can do. Like, comment, share. That's free. Cost you nothing. Absolutely. And head over to theadvocates.org. Click that link in the description. Take that test and share it. That's free. Keeps me happy. Keeps my sponsors happy. Everybody's happy. Please do that. And if you are someone who enjoys CBD products, please head over to Growing Selection. Check them out. They're a libertarian-owned company. They're also a sponsor. If you're going to purchase products, please check them out. Sharpe Way 20 for 20% off. Keeps my sponsors happy. Doesn't cost you a thing. You're going to buy anyway. Please enjoy. And always remember, like, comment, share. I will see you all tomorrow. And some of you, I'll see in about a half hour, or I'll hear you in a half hour at Clubhouse.